More help coming for the small business sector. SLB policy changes to benefit tertiary students and revenue measures announced to fund the 2014-2015 budget. Those and more formed the basis of the finance minister's budget presentation as the government outlined a plan to grow the economy and create more opportunities for Jamaicans. The government plans to spend $540.1 billion for the 2014-2015 fiscal year. To meet the expenses, $421.2 billion is expected to come from revenues and grants, $110.9 billion from loans, and $1.4 billion from funds already available. That leaves a gap of approximately $6.7 billion. $1.2 billion of that amount will come from the Road Maintenance Fund.
So that would mean that, in fact, we are looking at $5.5 billion in new revenue-raising measures.
Some of those measures include GCT on vehicles up to 10 years old instead of the previous 8 years, a levy ranging from 0.05 to 0.1% on withdrawals from deposit-taking institutions and encashments from security dealers, and unifying the special consumption tax SCT on alcohol to bring the rate for the tourism sector in line with other groups.
The imposition of revenue-raising measures is not something that this administration or this minister takes lightly.
But without one, the minister insists that Jamaica's economic reform program and achieving the 7.5% primary surplus target would have been jeopardized, affecting investor confidence and the country's standing with rating agencies. And the sacrifices made by public sector workers, bondholders, and the wider public would be in vain.
And would put us back to square one, where we would be closed out from access to the resources of the multilateral institutions, and we would be closed out further from access to private capital markets.
Following further consultations with stakeholders, the finance minister and his team will be reviewing the revenue measures and announce changes if any are made. The budget, meanwhile, has relief measures for the average Jamaican. Come January 1 next year, persons will be taking home a greater portion of their salaries when the income tax threshold increases by $49,920. And effective May 1, phablets, a cross between a smartphone and a tablet, will no longer attract customs duties. Cabinet will also decide on a proposal for the tourism transportation subsector.
It is proposed that vehicles for this subsector be allowed to be imported free of customs duty, but continue to be subject to GCT and SCT.
The move is in keeping with the omnibus legislation, which seeks to incentivize the primary inputs to production, those things that help to produce goods and services. On the issue of tax reform, more emphasis will be placed on compliance.
This year, we're going to be looking at things to streamline the adjudication process and to ensure swifter settlement of disputes with the tax authorities.
As part of the government's growth agenda for the 2014-2015 financial year, entrepreneurs will have access to more money to start or expand their businesses. The Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, has set aside $9 billion to lend to businesses, $3 billion of which is reserved for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. And beginning May 2014, DBJ's electronic voucher system to provide technical assistance to about 85 small businesses will take effect.
You can get training, you'll be able to get help in developing a business plan, and you will be able to get mentoring if you need it.
DBJ will fund 70% of the cost of the services from $100,000 to $300,000. The Public Sector Transformation and Modernization Program will also help to improve Jamaica's business competitiveness and reduce bureaucracy. Initiatives include a one-stop shop for import and export inspection at the port in Montego Bay and simplifying the government electrical inspection process. The AgriParks project, the provision of cheaper electricity, expanding the information and communications technology sector, the logistics hub, and the revitalization of the bauxite and alumina sector are also part of government's growth agenda. Education is another necessity for economic prosperity. So, in the 2014-2015 financial year, students at the tertiary level will find it easier to fund their education when new policy changes at the Students' Loan Bureau take effect.
Interest due on outstanding loans to the SLB will not be calculated any longer on the current add-on basis, but on the reducing balance, thus reducing the monthly payment for the beneficiaries who pay.
Likewise, the Bureau now accepts guarantors over age 60 if they meet the criteria, and persons who are financially stable will be allowed to guarantee loans for a maximum of 3 students instead of 1. In addition, the moratorium period for students in the fields of nursing, pharmacy, and mechanical engineering, among others, will extend beyond December 31 of the year in which their courses were finished to include the time before they are licensed to practice.
This will ensure that these beneficiaries have the capacity to earn before they are required to start repaying their loans.
On the social protection side of things, about $22.6 billion has been set aside for social programs like the school feeding program to assist the most vulnerable. So, the government is working on a raft of measures to grow the economy while expanding opportunities in various sectors. It's all part of a plan to reform Jamaica's economy and place it on a path to prosperity and growth.